So, Namaskar, good afternoon to all of you. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed colleagues from press and electronic media for this press conference on outlook for temperature and rainfall for the month of April 2022. I will share the PPT. Please bear with me for 1 minute. Dr. Srijit, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it moving?
Yes.
Fine. So thank you. So before we proceed for detailed outlook for April 2022, let us have a look about the observed temperature during March 2022. In the upper panel, you can find out the maximum temperature on the right hand side, on the left hand side, and the middle you can find the minimum temperature, and the right hand side is the mean temperature, that is average of maximum and minimum temperature. So what you find actually, temperature has been quite higher than normal in certain parts of the country. To find out how was deviating from the normal conditions, in the bottom there are three figures. One is the maximum temperature anomaly, that is the departure from the normal conditions of the maximum temperature in the first diagram on the left hand side in the bottom. Then we have got the minimum temperature anomaly, that is departure from the normal of the minimum temperatures. Then you have got the departure from the mean temperature for the month of March 2022. So looking at this, what I find actually the maximum temperatures were above normal over northwest India and west central India especially, where you can find out the red colors. The temperature is below normal over some parts of South Peninsula and northeastern states. If I look at the minimum temperature, there also what we find actually over the northwest India, especially if we just look at Rajasthan and adjoining areas, there also you can find out the red color. Red color means it is about 5 degrees and above temperature departure from the normal. So as we have seen for last almost 2 weeks, temperatures are continuing above normal conditions over many parts of northwest and adjoining west central India in terms of maximum temperature and also the specifically maximum temperature and minimum temperature specifically over Rajasthan and adjoining areas. So as a result, the mean temperature for the month of March, if you just look at it, has been also more than 5 degrees Celsius above normal over many parts of northwest India, especially Rajasthan, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, and adjoining areas of West UP. Now, if I just look at what was the heat wave or severe heat wave conditions in the month of March, basically there were 2 spells of heat waves in the month of March. The first spell of the season was 11 to 21 March. So here in this spell, as you can find out, the western parts of the country, especially the Saurashtra, Kutch, Gujarat region, Konkan, Goa, West Madhya Pradesh, Bidar, and the lower regions of the western Himalayan region, especially Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. So these areas experienced the first heat wave to severe heat wave spell during the period 11 to 21 March. So initially it developed over the Saurashtra and Kutch and Konkan and Goa, and gradually it extended to other regions. The temperatures were +5 to +9 degrees Celsius over these regions at that time, and absolute value becoming 40 to 43 degrees Celsius. Of course, in hilly region, it was 32 to 37 degrees Celsius. And second spell commenced from 26 March. And the second spell also commenced from the western part of the country, like Saurashtra, Kutch. Then it was prevailing over the Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Southwest UP, East Uttar Pradesh, the lower regions of Western Himalayan region like Jammu Division, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. And same conditions are continuing today. Now, if you just look at the rainfall, what happened in these months, starting with January, February, and March, the first figure on the top left is the rainfall during January, and middle one is the rainfall during February, and right top is the rainfall during March. So what you find that we have got excess rainfall activity in month of January, and it was followed by efficient rainfall. It is month of February, but efficiency was not so high. It was almost normal to excess rainfall over the Gangetic Plains and northeastern states. But in month of March, when you just look at many subdivisions recorded deficient to scanty rainfall activity, except the west coast of India. So, so that means in the month of March, the absence of rainfall activity over northern plains and adjoining hilly areas and central India's helped in accentuating the impact of the heat waves because soil became dry. So then, if I just look at the rainfall statistics, what you find in the month of March till yesterday, of course, it is. So country as a whole has been 72% efficient. Actual rainfall has been 8.3 millimeter against normal of 29.4 millimeter. Northwest India, it is 89% efficient. East and Northeast India, 59% efficient. Central India, 86% efficient. And South Peninsula, 13% efficient. Now, so if you just compare last year, March, so what you find actually in 2021, actually the condition was a little opposite. At that time, what you can find that it was not so severe. The heat wave conditions were not so severe. Temperatures were, though it was above normal in the northern plains in central India, but it was not so severe. It was within 1 to 2 degrees Celsius, and hence we did not have any significant severe or heat wave conditions in the March 2021. And one of the reasons you can see also rainfall activity was also there last year to some extent in the central parts of the country as compared to, and efficiency was minus 45% as compared to minus 72% this year. If you just look at the heavy rainfall activity or disastrous weather, you find that in the month of March we got heavy rainfall activity in some parts of northeastern states and some parts of extreme South Peninsula, especially Kerala and adjoining Tamil Nadu and coastal Karnataka. So if I compare the heavy rainfall activity with the previous years, what I find that 2020 was experiencing more heavy rainfall activity, 44 heavy rainfall activity than 6 very heavy rainfall activity. And 2018 also it was 36 occasions we have heavy rainfall activity and 5 very heavy rainfall activity. And 2021, if you just consider, it was similar to 2022 in terms of the heavy rainfall activity. So all these heavy rainfall activity, what we have seen in the month of March, it is basically because of the thunderstorms activity during this season. Now, if you just look at verification of March 2022 maximum temperature, we predicted on the 1st of March that there will be some kind of higher than above normal temperature. On the right hand side is the forecast. We told that there will be higher than above normal temperature and hence heat wave conditions over central parts of the country, extending from Gujarat and South Rajasthan up to Odisha and North Andhra Pradesh. And that came correct. But in addition to that, the expectation along the Gangetic Plains, Indo-Gangetic Plains was below normal activity, but it has been also the above normal temperatures. Otherwise, the expectation of the South Peninsula that it will have less temperature and below normal temperature, that has been realized. So, so I can say that we have very good, reasonable prediction for the temperature and heat wave conditions in the long range from central part extending from Rajasthan, Gujarat up to Odisha and Tamil Nadu, or Odisha and Telangana and North Andhra Pradesh, but Indo-Gangetic Plains could not be predicted correctly by this model. Now, if I just look at the minimum temperature, it was a mixed trend, and we can find out that, of course, minimum temperature is not of much importance in this month of March, but still, it could largely predict the below normal conditions or normal conditions in many parts of the western side, but in the eastern side, it also predicted below normal, but actually it has become above normal. If I just look at the rainfall activity for the month of March, it was predicted that there will be deficient rainfall activity, or you can say below normal rainfall activity. On right hand side, it was the forecast rainfall. On left hand side is the actual rainfall. So how do we find that in major part of the country we predicted yellow color, yellow to red color? That means the rainfall activity will be below normal probability, and that also happened in major parts of the country. Peninsular India, we expected that there will be good rainfall activity, and this also occurred, good rainfall activity in Peninsular India. And northeastern states also we predicted that there will be deficient rainfall. It is also recorded the deficient rainfall activity. So rainfall could be predicted to a large extent for the month of March. Well, now coming to the probabilistic forecast for April 2022, left hand side is the maximum temperature. So what we find that the multimodal ensemble forecast scheme of India Meteorological Department, developed by Climate Research and Services Division of IMD at Pune, it suggests that we can expect above normal temperature over major part of northwest India and central India, especially extending from Gujarat, Rajasthan up to Chhattisgarh, across northern parts of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. This area, if you just look at, probability is quite high, that you can see that there is probability of 60% to 75% probability that temperature will be above normal over this central part of the country, that is Gujarat, Rajasthan to Maharashtra, there is northern part of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and southern parts of UP, southern parts of Haryana. This area specifically, there is high probability that temperature will be above normal. But the peninsular India, if you just look at, there is a probability that it will be below normal activity, and eastern parts along the coast, especially if you just look at against West Bengal, Odisha, and of course entire West Bengal and Sikkim, and eastern parts of Bihar, eastern parts of Jharkhand and Odisha here will have the below normal temperature probability, and normal temperature probability over Telangana, northern parts of Andhra Pradesh, North Karnataka, we can expect. So if I interpret this diagram, I will say that the probability of higher temperature over the central part of the country suggests that there could be higher than normal heat wave conditions in the month of April over this area. Now, if I just look at the minimum temperature, here also showing that the same region where we are expecting the above normal maximum temperature, the same region also we are expecting above normal minimum temperatures. That means the temperature also will be above normal over the central part of the country, extending from Gujarat, Rajasthan up to Chhattisgarh and northern Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh and adjoining areas of Haryana and UP. If that is so, that means we can expect the warm night. In addition to the heat wave, we can also expect the above normal warm night conditions during these areas. And otherwise, there will be below normal to normal temperatures over remaining parts of the country. Now, considering the rainfall for the month of April, as it is expected, there is below normal probability of rainfall activity over major parts of northwest and central India. And there is below normal rainfall activity probability over northwest and central India, extending from Gujarat, Rajasthan up to Odisha and Northern Pradesh. And there is above normal probability for rainfall activity over South India and some parts of the northeastern states. So what does it indicate, this diagram? If I interpret that heat wave condition will be prevailing over this northwest and central India in certain regions and temperature will be above normal, mainly because there will be subdued western disturbance activity over northwest India, and there will be above normal rainfall activity over peninsular region, mainly because of the thunderstorm activity. That means we can expect normal thunderstorm activity or above normal thunderstorm activity over South India, leading to the above normal rainfall, whereas there will be subdued western disturbance activity over northwest India, and hence there will be rise in temperature. Considering northeastern states, there will be a mixed trend, and there could be thunderstorm activity, but it will not be so severe. But normal thunderstorm activity is expected over northeastern states. Similarly, over the eastern parts of country, which experiences the Kal Boisakhi or nor'westers in the month of April, we are expecting that normal activity will continue over Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Sikkim, and coastal and northern parts of Odisha, leading to the normal to below normal temperatures. Now, if I just look at the extended range forecast for next 4 weeks, we have two sets of models. On left-hand side, it is one set of model, right-hand side is another set of model. what you find, this is the anomaly forecast. That means what you find that as per both the models in the month of April, as it is predicted in our seasonal forecast, the external range forecast is also indicating that temperature will be above normal over northwest and central India. And central India means Gujarat, Rajasthan, to extending towards Odisha. So that is now in conformity with the seasonal forecast. External forecast is valid now from 1st April to 7th April for the past week. The second week is 8 to 14 April. Third week is 15 to 21 April. And fourth week is 22 to 28 April. But I just want to mention that this extended range forecast has a good accuracy of 2 weeks only, even though we are providing forecast for 4 weeks. Now, this is for minimum temperature. As we also saw, it is also in conformity to seasonal forecast. Northwest and central India will have higher than normal minimum temperatures. If you just look at the rainfall, yes, in extreme range also rainfall is predicted for over the northwest, over the northwestern region here, and also over northeastern states and extreme south peninsula. But there will be below normal rainfall activity over northwest India. Therefore, we can expect the impact of higher rising temperatures. Now, if we just look at the multi-hazard early warning, which we are providing every day, as all of us know that major parts of the northwest and central India is experiencing either heat wave or severe heat wave conditions with a rise in temperature by 4 to 7 degrees Celsius. And that type of condition is expected to continue. But gradually, if I just look at that, severity will decrease over the Indo-Gangetic plains and northwest India during next 1 to 2 days. And central India will continue. That is from Gujarat, Rajasthan. We are expecting that heat wave to severe heat wave conditions in some parts will continue for next 3 to 4 days, or in the forecast period of 2 to 5 days. Now, coming to the large scale pattern, like the Indian, like the El Nino and Southern Oscillation conditions over the Pacific, what we find that from this diagram, you can see that this is blue color. Blue color means temperature is below normal. That means you have got East Equatorial Pacific below normal temperatures, and West Equatorial Pacific we have got above normal temperatures. That is the La Nina conditions. Now, if I calculate the departure in different regions like Nino 3.4, which is the most favorable region for Indian weather, that is coming out about minus 0.9. That means La Nina condition is prevailing at present over the Pacific, and accordingly, you can see the progress how it is. Now, if you just look at the forecast of ENSO and Indian Ocean Dipole, so what I find actually, there are the different international models. So what you find actually, La Nina condition, which is prevailing now, is favored to continue into the northern hemispheric summer. That means up to April, May, June, or July, we can expect La Nina condition to continue. There is a probability of 53% during June to August for experience of La Nina conditions. So so that means up to June, July, August, you can have the La Nina conditions as per this forecast. Now, if I look at the impact, if I say it is La Nina conditions, then how the heat wave is expected. See, La Nina or El Nino is one of the conditions to determine the weather. It is not the only conditions. So even if we are expecting the La Nina conditions to continue in April, May, June, but in the month of April, we are still expecting the higher temperature over northwest and central India. Now, considering the Indian Ocean Dipole, if you just look at all the models indicate that the neutral IOD conditions to continue. It is called as neutral IOD conditions if the departure from normal temperature of the IOD is within 0.4 degrees Celsius. So most of the models you can find out here is indicating the neutral IOD conditions, but some models are also indicating that negative IOD conditions afterwards. That means initially the neutral IOD conditions will continue, but afterwards it may become a negative IOD conditions. Now, if I just look at monsoon mission climate forecast system March initial conditions, here also what we find that La Nina conditions are expected to continue as per this model. So that means there is a consensus among the models that La Nina condition will continue, neutral IOD conditions will continue during the summer monsoon season. Thereafter, of course, there is a projection that it may become negative IOD conditions. Okay, so this is the IOD forecast, what we find that neutral IOD conditions prevailed over Indian Ocean, and the MMCFS forecast indicates negative IOD conditions like develop gradually as you move towards the end of the season. Now I will go for summary. Summary is that above normal maximum temperatures are likely over most parts of northwest and central India and some parts of northeast India. Normal to below normal maximum temperatures are likely over remaining parts of the country. During April, above normal minimum temperatures are likely over most parts of northwest, central India, and northeast India. Normal to below normal minimum temperatures are likely over remaining parts of the country. The rainfall in April 2022, average over the country, is most likely to be normal. Below, but as we have seen that major part of northwest central India will have the deficient rainfall. Below normal rainfall is most likely over most areas of northwest central India and some parts of northeast India. Normal to over normal rainfall likely over many parts of South Peninsula and adjoining west central India. La Nina conditions are prevailing and likely to continue during summer season. Neutral IOD conditions are present over Indian Ocean, and neutral IOD conditions are likely to continue during summer season. So with this, I'll stop here, and now floor is open for the questions and comments. So thank you. So we can go for any questions and comments. You can
Sir, do you see any impact of global warming on the less rainfall?
Global warming and rainfall has been analyzed extensively by our Indian authors and outside experts also. So what we find that global warming has the impact on the rainfall during monsoon season. And when there is a low pressure system especially developing over Bay of Bengal and it is moving towards central India and northwest India, under its influence we get heavy rainfall. But because of the global warming, the intensity of heavy rainfall is expected to increase. And it is found that in the tropical belt across the globe, the frequency and intensity of heavy rainfall is increasing because of the global warming. That is also found in the Indian scenario. But light to moderate rainfall is decreasing.
Dr. Mohapatra, this is Kalyan from Deccan Herald. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, Kalyanji.
No, just wanted to know from you two things. Okay, one is that how rare is this two heat waves in March? Because this is March is not commonly associated with heat waves, and here we are seeing two of them in March. And secondly, what is the contribution of this high pressure zone over Pakistan in kind of triggering this kind of heat wave in India?
Yeah, thank you, Kalyanji, raising this point. I want to mention that maximum frequency of heat wave occurs in the month of May and just the period before the onset of monsoon, that is beginning of June. But if you just look at the data, March also experiences heat waves. And certainly this year, the number of heat wave days in the month of March has been slightly higher than normal. But if you look at the spell, you have got the two spells. And another feature of this heat wave condition is that usually heat wave occurs in the month of March in the central part of the country, starting to Gujarat, towards Telangana and Odisha, across northern parts of Maharashtra, southern parts of Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. But this time also we experienced heat wave conditions in the southern ridge positions of the Western Himalayan region, like Jammu and Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Even if sometimes, even if it is not satisfying the heat wave conditions, but departure from normal was quite high, about 4 to 7 degrees Celsius. So therefore, it has led to some kind of discomfort. So these are certainly some specific phenomena which we have seen in the month of March. But the good thing is that both the heat wave spells has been predicted well, and with the help of all the numerical modeling systems and continuous monitoring of the observational data sets. And if I look at the phenomena which has led to this type of heat wave conditions, as you correctly told, it is the role of the high pressure cell. The basic understanding is there that even if we have a high pressure cell over, say, lower and middle troposphere, that leads to subsidence of air. That means air will move downwards. and hence it gets warmed up. So therefore, it leads to warming. At the same time, if you look at the wind pattern in the lower tropospheric level, you will find that winds are blowing from South Pakistan to South Gujarat towards the northwest India, including Haryana and Delhi. So there was advection of heat or transfer of heat from southern part towards northern part. And that led to increase in temperature over southern parts of Himalayan region, including Haryana, Delhi, etc. Even though on many occasions they did not satisfy the heat wave conditions. But frequency of heat wave, duration of heat wave has been quite significant over Rajasthan, Gujarat, and adjoining areas. The other thing what I want to say that rainfall activity this year has been quite significantly less. It is minus 72%, and there has been no western disturbance active over the northwest India. As a result, northerly cold winds could not come in the month of March, and southerly winds are prevailing from South Pakistan, South Gujarat towards the northern plains of the country. So these are the two mechanisms which led to this type of activity over northwest and in central India.
Hi,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir. This is Anjali from the Indian Express, Pune.
Yes, madam. Madam.
Yeah, if I'm audible, my question is what explains the absence of thunderstorm activities? Because mostly there are clouding conditions and humidity prevailing, but it doesn't result into the thunderstorms or even some amount of rainfall. So what could explain this scenario? Thank you.
Yeah. There are two types of thunderstorm activity in the month of March in the country. One is the thunderstorm activity over the northeastern states and adjoining eastern parts of the country. Other one is the thunderstorms which occur over the peninsular India. So if I look at thunderstorm activity over peninsular India, it is normal, and we have seen normal to excess rainfall activity over coastal Karnataka and Kerala and some parts of the adjoining Tamil Nadu also. And that thunderstorm activity in the beginning of the month was not gearing up, but in the second half of the month, thunderstorm activity is quite normal, and we are getting as per expectations, leading to normal to abnormal rainfall activity over that region. While coming to the northeastern states, usually northeastern states experiences thunderstorm activity by the passage of the remnant western disturbances, and when it reaches near about say 90-degree longitude, at that time the winds from Bay of Bengal goes towards the northeastern states, and it collides with the Garo-Khasi Jaintia hills. As a result, it leads to intense thunderstorm activity. Because this year there was no such active western disturbances, that could not trigger the thunderstorm activity over the northeastern states and in eastern India. But however, last 1 week, if you just look at, the activity has geared up. One trough in westerly winds developed, it lay along the 90-degree longitude. As a result, the pumping of moisture was carried out from Bay of Bengal towards the northeastern states. There has been even the heavy to extremely heavy rainfall activity. Ramkrishnapuram Cherrapunji recorded 44 centimeter rainfall in 1 day. So it has picked up, but that type of situation was not there for last 3 weeks. First 3 weeks of the March. Last week of the March has enhanced thunderstorm activity over the northeastern states. Over northwest India, there is no thunderstorm activity because there is no western disturbance.
Hello, sir. This is Manasi Joshi from Pune Mirror. Am I audible?
Yes, please, madam.
Yeah. Two things. With no thunderstorm activity during this period in the summer, March and April, and neutral IOD, will it affect the monsoon this year?
Your voice is not coming clear. As I understand, you want to know about thunderstorm activity in peninsular India?
No. With no thunderstorm activity and neutral IOD conditions prevailing, will it affect the monsoon this year? Southwest monsoon?
Yeah, the monsoon forecast will be coming up on around 15th of April. So at present, we have not discussed about monsoon forecast. But I told about the large-scale features, like during this period, we are expecting La Nina conditions. La Nina conditions is expected to continue till June, July, August. And neutral IOD condition is prevailing now. That is April, May, June, we are expecting neutral IOD conditions. And gradually, when you move towards the monsoon season, neutral IOD conditions may be replaced by the negative IOD conditions. So while positive IOD is good for monsoon, negative IOD is not good for monsoon. And La Nina is good for monsoon, and El Nino is not good for monsoon. So if you just look at La Nina is there July, August, and negative IOD is expected towards the middle of the monsoon season.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
So good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, please, madam.
Yes. I'm Deepika. I'm from the Hindu Bangalore. Just wanted to check with you, what are the predictions for the southern region? Because we do see high temperatures in Karnataka and some parts of Tamil Nadu and Andhra, as you mentioned. If you can tell us a bit about what the IMD has forecasted for the southern regions. Thank you.
Yeah. If you just look at our forecast, what we have shown here, I'll just share it again. Sorry, it is taking. Okay, I'll just tell. I think you will get it. So what we have told that during the month of April, there will be below normal to normal temperature, maximum temperature, and also the minimum temperature for major part of South Peninsula. That means it includes Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Andhra Pradesh, and southern part of Telangana. Over this area, we are expecting normal to below normal temperature. And it is mainly because we are expecting thunderstorm activity over the peninsular area. Is it clear, madam?
So thank you.
Hello, sir. This is Jacob. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jacob ji.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I just joined a little late, so I'm not sure if this question has been asked, but I just want to check. There are lots of reports of extreme heat conditions, especially during the month of March in several places. I mean, there is the forest fire in Sariska. There was even in upper reaches of Himalaya, there have been extremely high temperatures. So I just wanted to check. Is it factually true? I mean, are there any records that show that March in general has been extremely hot compared to previous years? If it is, are there any regions that particularly stood out? And what could you comment on this?
Yeah, actually, I have replied this question earlier, but however, I will repeat. Yes, certainly there has been higher than normal temperature in the month of March, especially over northwest and central India. And that region is basically the southern parts of the hill ranges in the western Himalayas, and here Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, northern parts of Maharashtra. So in this area, there has been temperature above normal by the order of say 4 to 7 degrees Celsius, and sometimes one or two stations up to 8 to 9 degrees Celsius. There has been a few stations which have exceeded the previous records in the month of March. We have got two spells of the heat wave conditions. One occurred in the second week, and second one occurred in the fourth week, starting with 27th of March. And that spell is continuing now. And basically, this has been because of two reasons. One is that there has been a high pressure cell in the lower and middle troposphere, which is leading to subsidence of air over South Pakistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan, adjoining Madhya Pradesh, and North Maharashtra. At the same time, in the surface level or the lower tropospheric level, winds are blowing from South Pakistan, Gujarat towards the Indo-Gangetic plains, that is towards northwest India. So as a result, you have the warming air over Gujarat, Rajasthan, South Pakistan, and adjoining areas. At the same time, those warming areas are being advocated towards the northwest India. So as a result, northwest and central India are experiencing higher than normal temperatures. To aggravate this, there has been absence of western disturbances. There is no western disturbance passing through northwest India in the month of March. As a result, there has been no activity over northwest India. As such, there is no thunderstorm activity so far and no WD activity. So that's why this region is continuing to have the higher temperatures, including, this is a fact, as you told, it's a fact. Temperature has been significantly higher than normal over these regions. But when you consider country as a whole, so that happens now, it gets mixed up. So therefore, I am specifically telling the regions, that is the northwest and adjoining central India.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm
Sir,
Srishti
how long
from.
this heat wave will continue? Sir, this Kalyan, how long this heat wave will continue?
Yeah, Kalyanji, as per our forecast, for next 2 days, the heat wave conditions over the northwest India, like say Haryana, West UP,
ये उसके पापा हैं क्या
Punjab,
देखो?
all these areas, heat wave conditions will gradually decrease after today and tomorrow. But the central part of the country, like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Maharashtra, or Maharashtra and northern parts of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, that will continue for next 4 to 5 days.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Srishti.
Yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to ask you, sir, the two reasons that you gave, are they also, do they also apply to the hilly areas? Like we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Himachal, where the higher than normal temperatures have been experienced. So the lack of western disturbances is one, but are the other reasons also applicable for this?
Yes, other reason I told, no, that is there is advection of heat energy from south to north. Usually in the month of March, because of the western disturbances, the cold, dry, northerly winds prevail over the hilly regions. So that brings the lower temperatures. But this year in the month of March, we just look at the winds are blowing from South Pakistan, Gujarat, across Rajasthan, towards Haryana, Punjab, and reaching out to the southern parts of the hill ranges. So that also helping in rising temperature.
Right, thank you.
But the situation is changing. Within 2 days, situation is changing. We're expecting northerly winds over the western Himalayan region, adjoining Haryana, Punjab, West UP. As a result, we are expecting temperature to fall after 2 days.
Sir, this is Pratibha from Jansatta newspaper. So,
Yes.
do you see any relation between the temperature and the wind direction?
Certainly, temperature and wind are very much correlated with each other. Okay, so if you've got a northerly wind, for example, in the month of February and March, that will bring the cold air from the Himalayas. But you've got a southerly wind, because you see the sun marches towards the north as you move towards the summer. And in the month of March, usually the location of highest heating will be starting with Gujarat up to Odisha. So therefore, climatologically, if you remember in the past March when I gave the presentation, I told climatologically this area experiences higher temperature in the month of March, and we are expecting above normal temperature. Then hence heat wave is likely for central part of the country. That we predicted in the past of March. That has happened actually. But if you have got the heat zone here, starting with Gujarat, Maharashtra, up to North Telangana and Odisha, South Chhattisgarh, and wind is blowing from this area towards the Gangetic plains or towards the hill areas, then certainly on those areas temperature will rise. But if wind blows from north towards the south, then there will fall in temperature. But case will be different in month of May and June. When you go to month of May, the heating zone will be in the Gangetic plains, Indo-Gangetic plains. So there, if you have got northerly winds, central India will have higher temperatures. So therefore, with respect to the season, with respect to the month, the relationship between wind and temperature also changes. But they are related with each other. There is no doubt in it.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mohapatra. This is Vincent Kurian from Trivandrum.
Yes,
Can you
Kurian
hear
sir.
me? Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, one doubt, please. Sir, one doubt, please. Sir, do you say that the temperature is the temperature who decides the wind coming from Pakistan, or the winds decide the temperature rising in Indian Peninsula?
It is difficult to say. All are related with each other. It is so complex. We cannot say that temperature is because of wind or wind is because of temperature. Yes, certainly heating is the first. Heating leads the winds. Okay. Heating leads the winds. But that type of time, that heating, because of heating leading to winds, that is the in situ. At a particular place, if there is a heating, that heating will lead to localized winds. But there can be advective winds. Because of the systems moving, because of the anticyclones, or because of the cyclones or cyclonic circulations, there will be a generalized wind pattern. And that wind pattern will lead to advection of heat energy. There are two types, in situ heating and one is the advection of heating. So there will be two different types of mechanisms of the wind in relation to temperatures.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes, Kurian sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you. Basically, two questions, Dr. Mohapatra. One is that you have forecast a normal Kal Baishakhi season this year. So does it mean that we will have some latent western disturbance activity happening in May, April, and also likely into May? And number two, do you expect any cyclogenesis to happen in the Bay of Bengal? Because your numerical predictions still indicate some build-up in the Bay in the first week of April. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll go to the first question. See, Western disturbances will have different types of impacts over Northwest India and the northeastern states of Eastern India. If you just look at in the month of March, in the last week, yes, it could come as a trough in westerlies and caused very good rainfall or thunderstorm activity over northeastern states in the last week. We got the rainfall up to 40 centimeter in one day.
Okay.
But Northwest India did not get because it went offwards beyond the latitude of India and did not have any impact over the Northwest India.
Okay.
So nor'westers become more active or more vigorous in association with the westerly systems. You have correctly pointed out. If you have got a approaching westerly trough, at the same time you have got pumping of moisture with the anticyclone overhead Bay of Bengal, both combined in the heating zone of Eastern India and leads to intense nor'wester activity, and they develop over northwest and they move towards southeast and hence northwest activities. But this year, if you just look at our forecast, what you find that yes, we are expecting that temperature will be below normal maximum temperature over the eastern parts of the country, and also minimum temperature in the southern parts. And rainfall also, if you just look at, we are expecting that there will be normal to slight above normal activity over eastern parts of Bihar. That is the nor'wester zone, if you just look at. So that indicates that we should have good nor'wester activity over this climatologically favorable zone like Bihar, West Bengal, and North Odisha, eastern parts of Jharkhand, southern West Bengal, and Sikkim. And it so happened that those westerly systems will not have much impact over Northwest India, but they will have impact over eastern states in terms of the nor'westers. The second question you asked about cyclogenesis, yes, some models are suggesting some development, but they are varying with respect to time, and also they are varying with respect to intensity and locations. So at present, what is our analysis that we are expecting towards the second half of this week, that means after 4th or so, we can expect a cyclone circulation or a low pressure area developing over southern parts of Bay of Bengal, and they are about to say South Andaman Sea and Southeast Bay of Bengal, and that is expected to move towards west-northwest towards off to central Bay of Bengal. And after that, it may recover and move towards north-northeast. So it is too early to say whether it will become a cyclone or not. But there are majority of the models which are suggesting that yes, low pressure or a cyclone circulation will develop. Whether it will become a cyclone or depression is too early to say. Though one or two models are suggesting. And that model confidence is also going down over the period of time. If you see, for example, GFS trend from 3 days before and now, they are weakening the system. They are not coming up with that type of intensification as they predicted earlier. And further, one more thing that you can find that the model output based on say 5:30 morning and based on 17:30 evening are differing from each other. So that means there is no consistency. There is no confidence among the models.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohapatra.
Okay. I feel there is no other questions. I should thank all my esteemed colleagues from press and electronic media for your active participation. And because of you only, we could reach out to the last mile. We could manage very well. It is a fact that both the heat wave spell so far has been managed well, and there is no death so far because of the heat wave in the country. So it is a success for everyone. So congratulations to all of you. We'll meet again for long range forecast around middle of the year.
Sir, can you predict? Sorry, this is Sandeep Das from Financial Express. Can you give a date when the first forecast will be there, monsoon forecast?
Exactly, I cannot say now, but around 15 April we issue it. So we'll see which day we'll release.
Okay.
Thank you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.